Hello, everybody. Okay, I'm gonna be talking about the series, two part series, very short. I actually like the fact that this wasn't like a 6 episode series. It's called Unmasked, Spacey Unmasked, and it is about Kevin Spacey and all of the sexual allegations that have been made against him. Now, before I get into the series, I want to let you know my personal take on it, on Kevin Spacey. So, I got to know him through the series House of Cards back in probably, I'm thinking 2016, 2017. I don't remember where I saw it on the internet. I remember researching something on like good series or something like that, and I read what it was about. I remember that learning about what the series was about, which was about a president, like someone trying to become president of the United States, and I just thought that type of notion was great. I was like, wow, that's refreshing. Like, let me know. I want to see it. I want to watch it, and it's on Netflix, and it became my favorite series. I mean, it's my number one series, House of Cards. Now, um, I think the first 5 seasons are great. The last season, uh, between the fifth and the sixth season is when Kevin Spacey got fired. So he wasn't able to be in the sixth season. And I don't know how long or how far out they were planning on making the show. I know it's from a British version, and I know that has an ending. But yeah, like the first 5 seasons, I love them, right? So that's how I got to know him. In season six, like I just mentioned, he wasn't able to be there, and I did hear it was because of like sexual allegations. Like he was doing things on the set to people, like basically being perverted, and you know, I guess I didn't really think much of it at the time. I was kind of like, okay, that's messed up, but and then I watched the sixth season, and I was just kind of like, because Kevin Spacey, I think, was the heart of that series, right? Like, if you watch it, if you just watch like the first 5 minutes of that series, you're gonna know what it's about, right? You don't even have to watch all of it. Just watch the first 5 minutes, and you know what it's about. It's great, right? I really like it. But when he left, the series obviously lost, right? The fan base, I would say, also lost, right? Because it was kind of like, we had great 5 seasons, and now sixth season, it was kind of like, what? They just killed him off in the series, right? So then I was kind of interested in watching this documentary that actually talked about what happened and what he did, because I was and it delivers. This documentary delivers. In the second episode, it tells you what happened, how it happened, who were the people. It doesn't specify the 4 people that were in court because they're anonymous, but there are a lot of people that talk, a lot of men that talk about this, because I guess Kevin Spacey would do this to men, and he was gay, right? So the series gets into it. I think it's uncomfortable to watch. It's not the type of content that I consume, because I think it's content that is very yeah, it's uncomfortable to hear about that. It's something that you wouldn't really want happening to anybody who's a human, right? And I think it kind of put Spacey for me in a different light, because you could say like I respected him to a certain extent, and I think he was a great actor. I mean, if you watch House of Cards, it's a good series. But then, the things you hear people say about him, it's kind of like, damn, like this person was, and the whole time I'm like, man, all right, like he was born in the 60s, so I can maybe understand why it would be hard for him to come out even at these heights. I mean, he eventually came out, but he came out after there was after the allegation, the first ever allegation was made towards him. That's when he came out. So a lot of people were like, yeah, your application for the LGBT community is denied, right? You can't get in because you're really trying to cover up for the things that you have done. And I guess this goes back, according to the documentary, since he was in high school. Um, so you could say maybe it was a lot of the stigma at the time. His childhood was also pretty rough. His brother is in the documentary talking. He explains how he went through some really heavy stuff also, and how they kind of like mask, how they kind of like give this appearance. Um, yeah, how they don't really show who they are because they're so like hurt by what happened. It's like deep buried trauma that they got. Um, which makes me think about the series, because at one point I read a review on House of Cards, and the fact that Frank Underwood's character was like this politician without a shell, right? Where he really had no personality, and he was like a shapeshifter, and he would adapt, which is what I love about that series, is that he was able to keep his composure. And even though he faced hardship, because in the first episode he faces an injustice, right? And that's where he decides to become like a type of Walter White, Breaking Bad type of person, Machiavellian person. um, and it's like, maybe that was really because that's how he was or is, I don't know. But yeah, these men talk about their experience. I think it's sad. It's like the people that talk about it, a lot of them say that he basically would use his power and his influence to kind of like lure them in, and he would in a way promise them that he would like help them achieve fame. And I just and a lot of them, like when he would go ahead and do the acts, or you know the sexual advances on these men, they wouldn't do anything. And I kind of put myself in their shoes, and I say, if I want to be famous, like let's say, I make music and a rapper comes to me like Eminem or someone like that, and they're like, hey, I'm gonna help you get famous, and then he does something like that to me. It's like, like you're not gonna, and then they talk about this because you're like, as a man, and a man doing that to you, you think, I'm gonna beat him up, I'm gonna fight him, I'm gonna push him off me. But they actually don't, because and I understand why, because it's like, this isn't just anybody off the street. This isn't some random stranger. This isn't some guy at a bar. This is your idol, your hero, right? The person. And I think that's like a very bad situation. Again, I don't know why he did it, because I try to imagine his position and say, man, you got all this money, you got all this fame, you're getting honors from the British government, and you like, there's Elton John, like, just come out and have like a healthy relationship with someone, with or if you really, like, I think there are many ways in which you can handle that, especially if you have money. Like, I'm not saying that you should do it, but I mean, there's like prostitution, things like that. I don't know, in some countries it's like legal, but I think this whole like back room kind of like, and I don't know if people get a kick out of that, like the adrenaline of like, hiding, and what if I get caught, and things like that. At the end of the documentary, they say, well, at the end of both episodes, they say that he wasn't going to give he wasn't going to give a statement because he didn't have enough time to prepare, nor did he know what the material or the content of the documentary was going to be about. But he does state that a jury of his peers found him innocent on those four accounts, which again, like I think those things happen under suspicious circumstances. Like I'm just talking about the surface, but I think there's like a lot deeper things that maybe happened, especially with like the videos that he put out on YouTube and things like that. I'm not really sure. I mean, in those videos are kind of like kind of weird because I guess he's in his Frank Underwood role, and he's like in a kitchen. So a lot of people don't really know there's another one too. I guess there are two of those. They're on YouTube, I guess, and people don't really know what those were about. So I'm just kind of like, what the fuck, basically. Like, there's another documentary which is called Quiet on Set, and it's about like kids in the 90s and the early 2000s. Like, I guess all of the kids that were working like maybe on Disney Plus or something like that. I still have yet to watch that documentary, but there is a lot of talk on like this whole notion of like pedophiles and like sexual advancements and things like that. And I'm just speaking as a citizen that's currently in this technological world of social media and things like that and news. And I'm constantly being bombarded with this, and I'm just kind of like, what's happening in the world, right? Like, why are all these things happening? Like, they're not making sense. There's the Harvey Weinstein thing that I guess happened, and it's correlated with the Me Too movement back in 2017, which this was actually started by Tarana Burki in 2006, but it was popularized by Alyssa Milano in 2017. And of course, the whole Jeffrey Epstein's island, and the documents that came out a little while ago, where I guess a lot of celebrities were enlisted in it or something like that. I watched the documentary on that one too. Filthy Rich is called, and well, yeah, in that documentary, I guess that goes a little bit deeper into like these people basically using their power, I guess, or their money or their resources to do things that are bad, right, with kids. So I don't know why. I mean, I think it's kind of a good thing that it's taking force currently, and that maybe like a lot of these things are coming out. I think we're in the era of truth. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of things out there that are coming out. I mean, I just watched this documentary, and I've made a couple videos on it. The division between Donald Trump and Obama. There's like documentaries on George Bush and how he handled the Iraq War, how Afghanistan after the Taliban have taken over was a disaster. There's a lot of things that have come out, right? Like things from the CIA, things like that. So I think we're in that era of truth, and that's good because people become aware of these things, right? And people that may want to do bad also become aware of them, right? And it's like maybe it can make people think twice before doing things, right? Which I think would be ultimately the goal. And maybe I don't think as a society I think we're not yet in that level of thinking like people need help. I don't think we're yet to that level of providing help. We don't know what type of help certain people need. We're in I think in regards to treatment and detection, we're in a very experimental stage where we're kind of like testing things out seeing what, through science, through medicine, through technology, we're kind of like surveillance, we're kind of like testing everything out, which I think is great. And the whole truth factor helps, right? Because it makes us take these things into consideration, even though they may be hard to watch. Um, but yeah, let me know what you think. I thought the documentary was brutal. It's hard to watch, but you do become more informed on what actually happened, how the series got canceled. As a fan of House of Cards, I was interested in knowing like what happened. And towards the end of the second episode, there's a lady that comes out and she talks about, like how on set, Kevin Spacey was doing all these things, and how they were like aware of it, but it was kind of like a thing that you know we just keep working, we keep going, we try to avoid, we try to stop him from doing those type of things, right? But then I guess they say there's that saying that the straw that broke the camel's back, right? You got to watch the documentary, but it was on his trip to London, I think in 2016, 17, and he had done something to someone in London, and that person, you know, basically went to the police and reported him, and then that's when like, from there on, it was just like his downfall, right? And that's when he gets fired from Netflix, and yeah, so you kind of understand why that happened. Because when I heard about it back in like 2016, 17, I just heard about it in the news, but I didn't really know like the details of it. But then in the documentary, you learn of those details, right? And like I said, if you're a fan of House of Cards, it's a good documentary that explains what happened and why it happened and how it happened, right? And yeah, I love the fact that it was only 2 episodes, so I was able to finish it quick, right? Because when you have documentaries or series that are very long, and you kind of like lose track of what's going on, and especially when there are like people that you don't know and things like that. But yeah, let me know what you think, and I guess that's all I got for this video. Peace.